Do you believe Palestinians should have freedom from Israeli dictatorship, their own sovereign state, their right to choose their own government in free and fair elections?
Yes, yes, we do.
So the question a lot of your critics would answer, the question a lot of your critics would ask is, why can't Cubans have that exact same freedom? Fidel Castro was in power for 49 years. His brother Raul was in power for 10 years. And now the current president, Miguel Diaz-Canel, 6 years. None of them chosen directly by the Cuban people.
Yes, they were. They were all elected to the National Assembly directly by the people of Cuba. And as in the Canadian, the British, the Australian government, people don't elect directly the head of government. They elect him or her as member of parliament, and it is the parliament who elects the political leader of the country.
That's in a parliamentary system. In a presidential system like France or the US, you directly elect the president.
Correct. So ours is a mixture of the presidential and the parliamentary in a socialist state.
But in the UK...
So each of them have to be elected by the population. And then
But the population don't get a choice, though, do they?
They have a choice.
No, there's only one party that's legal in Cuba, the PCC, the Cuban Communist Party.
It's not an electoral party. It doesn't have a participation in the elections. People elect individuals.
There are no political parties allowed to run for office except for those vetted by the PCC. No. You know that.
Political parties, none, not even the Communist Party of Cuba, is allowed to run for office.
But they vet the candidates. You're not allowed to run for office unless you're approved.
No.
So
the party doesn't have a participation.
So hold on, anyone can set up a political party and run for office in Cuba? That's not true.
Parties don't participate in election. The electoral law in Cuba is based on individuals, communities, and there's no party, there's no participation, there's no money, there's no machinery for that.
The vast majority of the members of your National Assembly, I think 450 out of 480 or whatever it is, are supporters of the Cuban Communist Party. You know that.
Vast majority is perhaps an exaggeration, the majority. But I don't know the figures where you get them from. I don't know.
But my point is, you made the analogy with Britain, France, parliamentary, hybrid, Canada.
Because you were saying that we're not elected individually population. Well, as they are not elected, the Prime Minister of England...
Hold on, I made two separate arguments. One is they're not directly elected by the people, as in the US or France, which is true. We both agree on that. You said, but it's like a parliamentary model. I'm saying true, but in those parliamentary systems, you do have parties. People have a choice. Do I want a conservative or do I want a socialist? Do I want a liberal or do I want a progressive? In Cuba, they don't have that choice.
Is there any evidence that
you just said it was...
Is there any evidence that having political parties implies a true representation of the population?
Give people a choice.
But
even in Palestine,
but in practical terms,
even in Palestine, which you said they should have elections, they will be able to choose between Fatah, Hamas, the PFLP,